Welcome back to the 40th episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy. Sorry, I left my Mandarin in my other suit. Sorry. I was gonna have I had a whole opening bit, this song that I was gonna sing, but it's your loss, really. I'll see if I can get it together for the next episode, but yeah, so
Is that what that instrument's called?
I it's a minstrel, obviously it's a minstrel tune, or sort of a Mandarin sort of thing. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not an expert on on musical instruments. So
I
it
just
look
called it a guitar, so that's what I
Yeah, I
refer to it
mean,
as
as a
in the
general term, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. But
I didn't I
I
didn't
don't
know
know.
what it was
Maybe
called.
maybe I'll see if I can do some I'll see if I can do some research and see if I can have that for the next episode as well. See what we can find out what he's playing is. But
All right, so this is Batman Season 2, Episode 5, The Minstrel Shakedown. Episode aired Wednesday, September 21st, 1966, directed by Murray Golden and written by Francis M. Cockrell and Marion B. Cockrell, which I think they wrote something back in season 1, if I remember right.
that sounds right.
I don't remember what it was, but I just remember their names.
So yeah, more research we got to do for the second episode. I will tell you that speaking of research, this is not based on any comic, nor is it based on any comic character. However, even though the Minstrel was created for the series, and for as I mentioned in the last episode, Stanley Ralph Ross was usually the go-to guy for creating new villains, but he did not work on this episode as far as I can tell. So his name's not anywhere listed on here. So my guess is that he did not have anything to do with the creation of the Minstrel. But Quality Comics had a music-themed villain named the Minstrel who fought Doll Man in the Golden Age, around the 30s, 40s. So when DC Comics bought the rights to Quality's material in the 50s, that minstrel became part of the DC universe, but I don't know if he's ever appeared in the comic, and he has nothing to do with this one whatsoever. So, um, my guess is that the minstrel could be, used at some point, but this is not the same minstrel for those people who remember the Quality Comics character, which is probably nobody. Sorry. It is not the same minstrel, even though they're both technically, I get, I don't, and that's the other thing. I don't know if characters that were created for the series are DC characters because of the whole rights issue with Fox and everything. So I don't know how that plays out, to be honest with you. But in any case, this is not based on uh like most of the stories I think we'll see going forward, as I've mentioned before, they are no longer being adapted from actual comics.
It is a calm afternoon on the floor of the Gotham City Stock Exchange. But in the board but in boardrooms across the country, panic sets in. Brick Cortland, president of the stock exchange, has never seen anything like it before. At police headquarters, Commissioner Gordon turns on his television to watch the news. Suddenly, the program is interrupted by a gentleman playing the guitar, dressed like he's from the period of Robin Hood with a feather in his cap. At Wayne Manor, Bruce and Dick are playing four-dimensional chess at a table near the window while Mrs. Cooper is watching television on the couch. Mrs. Cooper is intrigued by the man who just came on the television, calling him attractive and gentlemanly. He is calling himself the Minstrel. The minstrel has a message for the members of the Gotham City Stock Exchange. He is offering protection against today's calamity. $1,000 a week for stock exchange members. They are to send checks to the Broccoli Bank in Geneva, Switzerland. They are to agree to his terms in the Gotham City Times. 100% participation is essential. Commissioner Gordon receives a call from Brooke Cortland, president of the stock exchange. They want him to call Batman. In the study at Wayne Manor, Alfred answers the red phone. Before he can even summon them, Bruce and Dick come running in. Batman tells Commissioner Gordon they are watching and will be right there. To the bat poles.
Okay, time out just real quick, because I just did a quick Google search. I don't know well enough to know if what kind of guitar he has or instrument that he has, but I think it's referred to as a gittern, sorry, Gittern, gittern. And this is a small gut strung not catgut, but gut strung, round backed instrument that first appeared in literature, representing, minstrels and everything. So I do believe it is a guitar, or it could be a cittern, because that looks like the same thing. It's dating Renaissance time as well. So it's something like that. So yeah, there's I don't know which is which, and I don't think they ever name it here in the show. So I mean, you're safe saying just a guitar.
I'll stick with that. It'll be easier to remember to say. The first time I ever remember seeing one of those was in the Disney Robin Hood movie,
Oh
cartoon
yes,
or
yes,
animation. The
yeah,
rooster.
rooster. Yeah. Oh, don't get. You're gonna put that song in my head now. I'm gonna sing that all week long. There you go. Don't. See, now all our listeners are gonna do it too. It's a great song though. I love that movie.
It got stuck in my head when I saw the minstrel playing it because it always makes me think of that. At police headquarters, Batman is introduced to Mr. Cortland, president of the Gotham City Stock Exchange. Batman asks him if he can take a look at the transmission room at the exchange building. Later in the transmission room, Batman and Robin meet Mr. Putnam as they are examining the equipment. Batman finds everything in order. Next, Batman checks the coding circuits. Batman states everything seems to be perfectly in order. Elsewhere at his headquarters, the minstrel is listening to Batman's conversation. He is happy to learn that Batman has found nothing. Octavia comments that Batman has a warm and attractive voice. Jealous, the minstrel calls Batman a second-rate genius. Back at the exchange, after Mr. Putnam returns to his duties, Batman informs Mr. Cortland, Chief O'Hara, and Commissioner Gordon that indeed the circuits have been tampered with. Batman wants to set a trap, but Commissioner Gordon is concerned about Batman's safety. Batman states that after dealing with the Penguin, Archer, Clock King, King Tut, and Catwoman, they shouldn't have any problems dealing with the minstrel.
So yeah,
So
so we get a mention of Clock King, who we haven't seen.
it was unusual too that they brought in Clock King. Was there supposed to be an episode of Clock King that never got done or never aired? Maybe
He could have mentioned any of the number. He didn't mention the Riddler. He didn't mention Joker.
Joker.
So he mentions Clock King. He named well, we've seen this before. Catwoman was name dropped before she actually appeared on the show in season one. So
Right.
they have most of the villains that they face here are ones that they've met over and over and over again, even before the show started, so to speak, before, the events of the series take place. But Minstrel is new. And so it is kind of interesting. But yeah, um, so yeah, Clock King is mentioned. Will we see him? But we don't know. But he's out there because Batman name drops him.
I got to tell you, I don't remember Clock being King being in the '60s series, but of course, I haven't seen every episode either. So
There we go.
I'll be excited. I'll be excited to find out if he's actually on the show. Back at the Batcave, Alfred serves refreshments as Batman and Robin work on a bugging device of their own. Alfred mentions that he has also invested some money in the stock exchange. I thought this was interesting because in the recent comics, during King's run on Batman, spoiler alert, Alfred gets killed by Bane and leaves a large sum of money to Dick Grayson, who uses it to fund the Alfred Pennyworth Foundation in Bloodhaven.
Hmm.
And even though Alfred was rich himself, he still continued to serve Bruce Wayne and Batman in the comics. So
Oh
I thought that was interesting. See, another thing that ties back to Batman 66.
yeah. Although apparently Alfred's on the brink of losing everything.
That night at the Stock Exchange building, Batman and Robin hear the janitor whistling the same tune that the minstrel had sung earlier. The janitor states she was expecting them and gives them her mop and runs off. Maybe she should have been whistling the Disney Robin Hood song there.
Well, the this is our cameo for the episode. Although, not all of the cameos in this series are people who pop out of windows in buildings, which I think that's what we usually think of as being, the star cameos. Last week's villain pop cameo was James Brolin, but that's an early James Brolin, so they didn't know that that was a cameo at the time. He was just trying to get work. He was just a young actor. So, but here we have uh, famous, legendary comedian Phyllis Diller as the cleaning lady, and she sort of makes herself known here. I think when we think of comedians who are cleaning ladies, we think of Carol Burnett. But prior to Carol Burnett, Phyllis Diller I think she had a stick as well that way. But anyway, here she is here, and yeah, she stood out to me. Did you recognize her at all?
I didn't recognize her, but I do. I do. My first introduction to Phyllis Dillis was the Scooby Doo movies.
Oh, right.
Do
Yes,
you
I
remember
think
those?
I did. Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, Batman and Robin appeared on some of those Scooby-Doo.
Yes,
So,
my
heck, we
favorite.
might even review those at some point.
That would be awesome. I haven't seen those for quite a while, and they were some of my favorite Scooby Doo episodes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, as a kid, Scooby-Doo
Yeah.
and Batman and Robin teaming
Oh
up.
yeah.
That was a great crossover.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, much
We'll
better than
definitely have to
still.
review those at some point.
Yeah,
Maybe we can do
yeah.
it as bonus episodes.
On boy, on Saturday morning though, if you're hoping that they're going to team up with Batman and Robin, instead you get Phyllis Diller, you're probably pretty disappointed as a kid.
Well, I remember Don Knotts, and they had some other Jonathan Winters, I think, was on there. So they had some other people on there too. But
Sure,
Batman and Robin was my favorite.
sure.
The minstrel the minstrel pops out of the coding room and uses a flare device that temporarily blinds Batman and Robin. The minstrel escapes while singing "Good Night, Batman" and "Good Night, Robin." Back at the Batcave, Batman and Robin use a bat drone to trace the minstrel signal back to his broadcasting studio, which they determine is at the old Willow Street warehouse. And I'm going to stop here for a second because I thought this was kind of funny. Batman asks Alfred to throw the bat drone retrieval switch, which I found was I thought it was crazy. He acted so surprised that the bat drone returned to the bat cave.
Yeah, it was a weird exchange because I thought Alfred was going to have to go get it because Alfred was kind of like, me, sir, and he's like, yeah, whatever. And like, I don't know why. I think I think there was some like the relief. Like I think he was supposed to throw the switch after Batman and Robin left because they left in the Batmobile, and you don't want the drone coming in while the Batmobile's going out.
Yeah, that would have not been good.
So I think when he saw that it came in okay, I think he breathed a sigh of relief that he didn't actually kill his employers with his quick movement to the retrieval switch.
Batman and Robin arrive at the warehouse, but there is not a doorknob. There is not a doorknob on the door. Batman and Robin scale the building with their bat rope. Robin discovers an open window and the dynamic duo enter to find a trap. The minstrel the minstrel's henchmen are waiting for them, and a fight ensues. When the henchmen realize they are losing, two of them leave the room. Batman and Robin chase after them. Busting through a locked door, Batman and Robin are captured. Robin exclaims, "Holy fly trap!" Okay, so they bust through this door. Robin yells, "Holy fly trap!" And I'm like, what happened? Did they run into like a giant fly trap or something? Because the next time we see them, Batman and Robin are
Not unheard
tied
of.
to a Batman and Robin are tied to a spittle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, what happened here? How'd they get captured?
Yeah, this
So
is
did they
kind of
did
lazy
they yeah,
even for
was it
this
lazy?
show.
Did they actually get trapped by a fly trap then? And they didn't
I
want to
don't.
show it because of budget or something?
Could be. I don't. The fly trap doesn't really, the fly paper, whatever, doesn't really uh match the minstrel's sort of MO. But I mean, it's a new guy, so who knows? But yeah, we don't see it. The next thing we see is them them being grilled again.
I know. Maybe I don't. This writer got a fascination with wanting to eat Batman and Robin.
But it's not the same guy as last time. So
Oh yeah, that's right. We had different writers.
yeah. So, but still, it is kind of a weird, they're going to be like we're on a grill, an outdoor grill in the last cliffhanger, and now they're on an inside grill.
They're they're running out of ideas already.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's a little bit of that too. But I will
Bat
say that the visual the visually the way when they with them tied up like that is pretty uncomfortable and yeah, it looks pretty harrowing.
Batman and Robin are tied to a spittle. They are rotated over a heat source. The minstrel tells them he plans on serving barbecued crusader. Grabbing his grabbing his guitar, the minstrel sings them a song. Batman and Robin. Oh, wait, how did that? I'm trying to remember the tune it went to. It's like a lullaby, if I remember right. Batman. I'm not okay. I'm not going to sing this. Batman and Robin wrote. Batman and Robin rotate and revolve. As the heat grows, your bodies will dissolve. Yeah.
Yeah,
When it
when the
is
bow
still
breaks,
hot,
it's the same. Like, yeah, it's
yeah.
like
When it
like
is still when it's still hotter, then you will melt. Nothing left but your utility belt.
this is pretty gruesome from a guy that won't even dirty his hands to fight. Like he's not a violent guy, he says, and yet he's gonna cook them. Like it's just wow. Sometimes this show gets kind of dark,
Yes.
and in the weirdest places. But yeah, so
All right.
very strange.
Let me finish this out real quick. Can this be true? Is the melodic fiend finally cooked the duo's goose? Check the thermometer on your radar grill. Be here tomorrow. Same hot time, same hot channel.
We
So
got
we
a new
got,
outro
yep.
out of it. Look, this one isn't received very well by a lot of fans, and I can understand in some ways that for some reasons, and it's kind of shaky. But I will tell you that going into this one, I had forgotten all about it until it sort of started, and there was Van Johnson, and I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, this is probably not going to be great. Um, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. It wasn't like it's not, we're coming off a Catwoman two-parter, which was amazing. So, but I would put this one, at least the first part anyway, I would put this above the first two with the Archer.
Yeah.
And the reason is because, look, I like Art Carney a lot as an actor and as a comedian, but um, and Van Johnson, who plays the minstrel here, is not my favorite actor by any means. As a matter of fact, yeah, I don't. It's yeah, I don't hate him, but I don't love him either. But he seems to enjoy playing this part, and I think that's the key with doing this. Whether it's Frank Gorshin, see, I'm pronouncing it right now. Or Cesar Romero or Julie Newmar, they're taking it seriously and they're enjoying it. They really get a like they have an energy when they play these parts. The problem I think for me with Art Carney is that it was flat. It just felt flat. It didn't feel like it had any energy. It didn't feel like he was really enjoying being there. So, but for the most part, it seems like Van Johnson is is having a good time. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Van Johnson. He was a actor. I think he started in the 30s, 40s. He made a lot of classic movies in the 40s, 50s. Big movie star, really. He was in comedies, musicals. He worked with Judy Garland in The Good Old Summertime. He was in some war movies. He was actually in a war movie with Alan Napier, who plays Alfred.
Hmm.
And he was also in the Caine Mutiny, which about 10 years before this, he was featured in the Caine Mutiny, which is probably my favorite performance of his with Humphrey Bogart. Um, I think he's a solid actor. I never seek his movies out, but I always, find that he does a pretty decent job. And here I think he's doing a good job. I was interested in the fact that this villain there was a connection between music and electronics. A lot of the stuff that he was doing was computer based, and this is the early days of computering. And so there's a lot of things that, we know that don't make a lot of sense, but that they're kind of making up here, like it's science fiction. But it sounds cool, and for the most part, it worked for me. I didn't love it, but I did like it a lot better than I thought it was going to. How did you feel about
Yeah. I definitely like these better than the Archer episodes. So, yeah.
it?
I mean, so far the Catwoman episodes are my favorite of the season, but this was
Sure,
definitely
sure.
better than the Archer ones. I mean, the Minstrel's okay, but I have a feeling we're gonna have some more exciting villains than this coming up. So,
Well, I should hope so.
and
But
when I was watching it, I didn't.
maybe
I
Clock King. No, it is.
Now when I was watching this, I was I wasn't sure if I had seen this before, but the I got to tell you the cliffhanger seemed familiar, so it's possible I have seen this before. I'm curious to see what the second half is to see if I remember anything from it. So
Yeah, it's kind of, I would expect, one of, like the Riddler to come up with something like this for Batman and Robin because it's pretty gruesome. And we've kind of mentioned before how in particular, his like traps or whatever you want to call it, his means of execution, executing the dynamic duo are pretty gruesome.
yeah,
I mean,
thinking
so
back, we've had Bruce going into a furnace, or what was
that was a penguin.
that was the Penguin. Okay, never mind.
And
This
that was just Bruce. That wasn't
this
Batman.
yeah, that's true. Robin with the saw. That's the one that sticks out in my mind the most.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, this doesn't top that, but it comes pretty close actually. It comes pretty close. So as far as visually, like looking disturbing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think it was even more disturbing than the Catwoman barbecuing them with magnifying glasses.
yeah,
Even
because
though it's kind of the same thing, this felt different. This felt more dark.
yes, yeah, it's in a darker setting because it's not outside or whatever. But yet, yeah, I don't think the
Well, I don't know if you can
Eclipse is
get
not
as
gonna
dark
save him
as
on this one.
I don't think you can get as dark as the Eclipse though.
Yeah, Eclipso's not going to save him from this predicament. So, but it's it's overall okay. I didn't hate it, and it's still fun. Watching Batman and Robin. Watching the crew go at it. So, there's some enjoyable stuff here. But yeah, I this one is not well regarded at all. When I was looking online at some of the stuff and we'll see what the second half brings. But right now it's not a bad start.
All right. Well, that wraps up our episode. Do you have a shout out, Mike?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to a podcast that I do, not Earth Station One, although I mean Earth Station Who, although we're still doing Earth Station Who and reviewing episodes of Doctor Who, but we're also the Dragon Con report has started up, so we're getting ready for Dragon Con 2025 and all the good stuff that goes with Dragon Con. So if you're interested in Dragon Con, or even if you're just curious about Dragon Con, we're available. We stream the show live, so you can join us to ask questions and comment while we actually record, which is something that Drew and I will never do. Uh, maybe one day we'll do that. Um, but um, But so we have, and then you can actually watch us on YouTube afterwards, and you can listen to it, the podcast, like you can listen to this one as well. It's available where all fine podcasts are there. So Jen and Channing are my fellow crew and co-hosts there, and we have a great time getting ready for Dragon Con. And it seems like even though it's at the beginning of this year, 2025, we know that August will come before we know it. So there's always something happening, always something to talk about with Dragon Con. So please check that out as well.
And even if you don't go to the show, check it out. It's interesting to listen to. I've listened to it before, and I've never been to Dragon Con, but you guys
A
always
lot of
talk
the
about interesting topics. So
a lot of the topics that we cover can apply to other conventions as well. So we try to open it up and talk a little bit more about other stuff too. But yeah, it does focus on primarily on Dragon Con.
all right. And for my shout out, I'm going to shout out about the Earth Station DCU Mother podcast. You can listen to Cletus and I every week talk about comics and DC news and sometimes DC television shows and stuff. Hey, I noticed today I got a notification on my phone that Creature Commandos is out on Max now.
It is.
So
Yeah, it made its debut. As we're recording this, it made its debut today, which tells everybody how far in advance we're recording.
so if you're interested in checking out James Gunn's new universe, that's supposed to be the first project before, the Superman movie comes out this summer. So but we'll probably be reviewing it at some point. Right now we're trying to play comics catch up because we're like still back in September for comics. And we've kind of gotten behind and I want to get caught up. So
Sure.
that's why we're reading like we're like reading three comics of the same title at a time trying to catch up. And I'm not doing my normal recaps on them. We're getting a real quick recap and our discussion. So all right, if you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line 317-455-8411. Leave us a message, text us, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right, you ready to get out of here, BatChum?
BatChum's ready to move out.
Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same hot time, same hot channel.
Don't worry, the hotness is yet to come.
They may have to replace this to get that.
I think we just got the explicit tag now on our video.